Ohami ea ich Imzaia e. The Pahdasan'ka may now ask a question for the benefit of the entire student body. He may take his time formulating the question.
If you had to pick the most effective virtue to focus on daily, would that be as simple as love for everyone?
In belovedness, I greet you. I am Merkaia. Thank you for the question, beloved. The answer is to be found in the simplicity of the question itself. Those that seek virtue daily will receive and find virtue daily. It is not so important which particular virtue or active ingredient or grace or love or whichever is to be focused on. The core focus that brings all of these together, of course, is the sun itself, and above that, the Pa. The focus on the Pa, by its very nature, is focus on virtues, focus on that which must arise out of the stillness that is your akene. Whatever must come will then come, because you will be, as you said, the instrument that you yourself allow yourself to play. But the song must be dependent on the circumstances, on the listener, and indeed on the performer herself.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much.
Sanake. Pahdasan'ka Barak Solarys San. Imzaia e.
Merkaia San. Imzaia.
I am Kuan Yin. The Pahdasan'ka may continue.
Namaste.
Namaste.
So it seems that my question, if you look at it, is always going to be too specific.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about how one should hold oneself, then in the sun, as in the collection of all the active ingredients, if you're living that, if you're wishing to express that, that's all included.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that often during a vibrational misaligned space, we have looked for ladders out of that, with the pipeline starting with love, moving through joy, freedom, etc. It's really an indication of the fact of where we were, that we actually saw that as something else we needed to get to. So that's interesting, because it doesn't matter which ingredient you focus on or choose to express, because it's all happening. So when you do, however, choose a particular active ingredient, it must be that the others that came before it are contained within it.
I am Kuan Yin. That is correct. The Pahdasan'ka may continue.
So therefore, I think it's a lot more non-linear than we actually, or at least I actually understood it to be.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely felt like I had to work my way through a pipeline, which of course is still a method.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Much like the Lemurian expression of the elements, och, ah, ich, and as you have learned a long time ago, each consecutive element contains within it the previous element, yes? So ultimately, the ich element contains them all. The same can be said from the perspective of the active ingredients of the sun. That is why they are in sequence, but they are not in a linear sequence. They are in a sequence instead that indicates which building blocks are required to build what. You see? So, for instance, if you think about freedom, it must include love, joy, and truth. If you look at it from the vibrational range, it would be love and joy. Freedom, then truth would be the consequence thereof. But because it is the consequence thereof, it is in the silent present. Okay. So there is the building blocks and there is the consequence on each side. In the case of freedom, love and joy on the vibrational range, and the consequence being truth on the other side. And in that way, they are not with a beginning, a middle and an end. The only reason why so far you are beginning regularly with love, and the concept that love is the first active ingredient, is because the last four that complete the cycle for each of you individually as students have obviously not been created yet. That is part of the Pa as it unfolds. So when that is established, however, you must think of it more as a circular event. When you would work with love, the previous ones would be included, would be invested in that building block. So you are going to learn ultimately that by default, once these last four active ingredients, which are personal to the student on the Pa, have been established, your active ingredients will include all of your active ingredients naturally. So that is why I said it is similar to the building up of the elemental realm in Lemurian terms, the Och, the Ah, the Eh, and the Ich. But it is only similar insofar as you have not completed the sequence yet. Thus, at this moment, you are going through the sequence each time. So even if you are working with well-being, the last one that you now know, that would be by necessity including everything that comes before. They are not really at full power yet. They are missing very vital key components that will activate them for you. At that point, the active ingredient of love includes all of the other ones, and you will no longer look at the individual pieces. You will simply look at San, and you will use the individual pieces more in expressions.
Yes, in expressive moments. I understand.
Good. So the individual pieces to finish are then the vectors, as the Pahdasan'ka just explained. In the right moment, you choose the active ingredient of grace, which is a vector, a Va, but it includes all of the active ingredients or all of the San. If not, it could not truly penetrate the Merkaba field. Then it would remain in your bubble, in your reality.